The stars of Sol system burned quietly, unchanged for billions of years. The sun rose and fell over Earth like it always had, and for ordinary people, life moved forward without knowing that history was about to change. Far above the blue planet, past the moon and the scattered satellites, a ship unlike any built by human hands entered the system. It was long, silver, and shaped like a blade. Its surface shimmered as if it were alive. This was not a human ship. It belonged to the Galactic Union. The Galactic Union had traveled countless light years. They had seen hundreds of species, cataloged thousands of planets, and created laws that held together many civilizations. They believed themselves wise and advanced, guardians of peace in the galaxy. When they came to Earth, they expected the same thing they had seen many times before. A young species, curious but weak, ready to be guided or controlled. The first Union vessel to approach Earth was a diplomatic cruiser named Celestial Harmony. Inside the cruiser's grand chamber, Ambassador Terral, a tall being with 4 shimmering eyes and skin like crystal, stood at the center. His assistants moved quickly around him, preparing words of welcome. "Humans will be simple," Terral said calmly, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their history shows conflict, but their ships are primitive. We come as guides, not as conquerors." His assistant, a smaller alien named Revek, hesitated. "Ambassador, records show humans have been advancing fast, faster than expected for their age." Terral gave a quiet laugh. "Advancing fast does not make them strong. The gap between us and them is wider than they can imagine. Do not fear." As the cruiser neared Earth, it broadcast a signal in many languages, carefully translated using intercepted transmissions. The message was clear: "We come in peace. We are the Galactic Union. We seek friendship." On Earth, the message shocked governments and citizens alike. For generations, humans had wondered if they were alone. Science fiction had dreamed of this day, but no one had truly expected it so soon. News spread in seconds. People ran to television screens, radio broadcasts, and online channels. Humanity had its first undeniable proof of alien life. World leaders quickly organized a meeting. The United Nations building in New York became the center of global focus. Representatives debated whether to welcome the aliens or to fear them. Some believed it was a chance for peace and growth. Others whispered warnings about colonization. But before a decision could be made, the aliens acted first. The Celestial Harmony appeared in Earth orbit, visible to telescopes and satellites. Its silver hull reflected sunlight like a giant mirror. Millions of eyes turned skyward, filled with awe and fear. Within hours, the Union requested a meeting with Earth's leaders. And so the first contact began. In a secure hall prepared for the historic event, humans waited nervously. Soldiers stood on guard, though their weapons felt small against the power of an alien starship. Scientists, diplomats, and generals gathered, whispering questions to one another. At last, a shimmering light filled the hall. The Union delegation stepped forward. They were tall and graceful, moving as if gravity itself bent to their will. Their eyes shone with strange colors, and their clothes glowed with faint light. To humans, they looked like beings out of myth. Ambassador Terral raised his hand in greeting. His voice was calm, deep, and strangely musical. "People of Earth, we come with open hearts. The Galactic Union offers peace, knowledge, and a place among the stars." There was silence in the hall. The humans stared, stunned. Then the Secretary General of the United Nations stepped forward. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled. "We welcome you. Humanity has long dreamed of this moment. May it be the beginning of friendship." The room filled with cautious applause. Cameras recorded every second. Around the world, billions of humans watched live. The moment would be remembered forever. First contact between Earth and the stars. But beneath the calm surface, both sides studied each other carefully. The aliens thought humans were fragile. Their weapons, while loud and destructive on their planet, seemed primitive in comparison to Union energy shields and star cannons. Their ships were small, limited to their own system. To the Union, humans were like children just learning to walk. The humans, however, were not as simple as they seemed. While the Union ship floated in orbit, Earth's military forces quietly watched from the shadows. Deep in the oceans, submarines tracked every movement. Hidden satellites collected signals. And far beyond the moon, something else listened in silence. For centuries, humans had feared invasion. Their history was filled with wars, betrayals, and survival against impossible odds. They had learned one thing: Never reveal all your strength at once. While their diplomats smiled and spoke of peace, other preparations were already in motion. Ambassador Tyrrell and his team toured Earth in the days that followed. They visited great cities, New York, Beijing, London, Nairobi, and Rio de Janeiro. Everywhere they went, crowds gathered, cheering and waving. Children held signs of welcome. Artists painted the visitors in glowing colors. Hope filled the air. The Union took note of human culture with polite interest. They were impressed by the art and music, curious about human literature. But when it came to technology, they were almost dismissive. In one meeting, Revik whispered to Tyrrell, "Their cities are full of light, but their machines are so simple. They use combustion engines, still burn fuel for power." Tyrrell nodded slowly. "Yes, they are young. With our guidance, they will rise." Revik hesitated. "Or with our guidance, they may resist. Their history shows they do not always follow quietly." The ambassador frowned, his eyes glowing faintly. "Then we must remind them who is stronger." But gently, they must believe peace is their choice. Back on Earth, leaders held private talks with military commanders. They shared intelligence that the Union did not realize humans had gathered. "Ambassador Tyrrell believes we are weak," one general said grimly. "That is what they think of all young species. But we are not like the others." A scientist leaned forward. "Their ships are powerful, yes, but their arrogance blinds them. They think we cannot surprise them." The president of a great nation spoke softly. "Then we must continue the act. We will smile. We will shake hands, but we will also prepare." Days turned into weeks. The calm of first contact spread across the world. Songs were written, books were published, and people began to dream of traveling to the stars. But under the surface, unease grew. A small incident occurred in orbit. A Union drone ship flew close to the International Space Station without warning. Human astronauts reported being scanned by strange beams. The Union dismissed it as a routine check, but whispers spread on Earth. Were the aliens studying humanity for peace or for conquest? The Union saw the nervousness and smiled politely, believing it was normal fear. They did not understand humans fully. They saw only the surface. They did not see the shadow of the Terran fleet, silent and waiting. Far beyond Mars, hidden in the darkness near Jupiter, the Terran Defense Force floated unseen. Ships built in secret, designed for survival in the harshest of wars, waited under cloaking fields that bent light itself. Their engines were silent, their weapons locked, but their crews were awake, watching. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the largest Terran warship. His eyes never left the holographic display of the Union cruiser in orbit around Earth. "Do they suspect?" asked his second-in-command. Reyes shook his head. "No, they see what we want them to see. Let them believe we are weak. Let them believe we are children. When the time comes, they will learn otherwise." And so the first contact continued. Calm on the surface, storm beneath. The aliens thought they had met another simple race, ready to be guided. Humanity smiled and welcomed them. But in the silence of space, a hidden truth waited, one that would change the galaxy forever. The calm of first contact spread across Earth like sunlight after a long night. People were excited. Songs of hope were sung, and newspapers printed headlines filled with joy. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone, and now that question had been answered. The stars were alive with other voices, other minds. But peace, as history often proved, was fragile. The Galactic Union believed they understood humanity. In their eyes, Earth was a world rich in resources and full of potential labor. Its oceans were deep, its lands wide, and its population energetic. But to the Union, energy and ambition were nothing without strength. And from what they had seen, humans were not strong. Ambassador Tyrrell continued his meetings with Earth's leaders. His words were always calm, his face always smiling, but behind those four crystal eyes was a calculation. The Union had dealt with many young races before. Some resisted, some obeyed, but in the end, most became part of the Union, one way or another. "Do not fear us," Tyrrell said in one of his speeches, standing before a crowded human assembly. "We wish only to share knowledge, to lift your people higher." The humans clapped politely, but inside many hearts, suspicion grew. The first real tension came when a Union patrol ship, small but heavily armed, moved closer to Earth orbit than agreed. Its sensors swept across military satellites and communication relays. The scan knocked several human systems offline for hours. On Earth, generals gathered in secret. "They are testing us," one said angrily, slamming his fist on the table. "They want to know how far they can go before we resist." Another replied quietly, "And if we resist too soon, they will strike with full power. Our defenses on Earth cannot hold against their fleets." The president of a major nation looked across the room, his voice heavy with warning. "Then we must continue our play. We act weak. We let them believe they control the game. But our hidden fleet must be ready." Messages were sent through secure channels to Admiral Reyes, still stationed near Jupiter with the Terran Defense Force. His orders remained the same: stay hidden, stay silent, but be prepared. The Union misunderstood humanity's silence. In the great chamber aboard the Celestial Harmony, Revik gave his report. "The humans did not protest when our patrol scanned their satellites. They showed nervousness but no resistance. As expected, they lacked the courage to defy us." Ambassador Terral nodded slowly. "Good. They will follow the path of other young races. They see us as gods, and gods are obeyed." "But," Revik hesitated, "some humans whisper among themselves. Their history speaks of rebellion, of wars, of never bowing easily." Terral's eyes glowed faintly. "History is nothing before power. Let them whisper. A single Union warship could destroy their entire fleet. If they resist, they will learn." The Union soon decided to send a message, a display of their power that could not be ignored. One morning, without warning, a Union warship entered orbit over Mars. The ship, called Vigilant Spear, was sleek and black, built for combat. Its captain, Vorthen, had no patience for slow diplomacy. He believed fear was the fastest teacher. When he saw the small human colonies on Mars with their scattered domes and fragile supply ships, he laughed. "This is the future they dream of? Dust and weakness? Let us show them real strength." The Vigilant Spear fired a single shot at a human mining station, not enough to destroy the dome completely, but enough to tear its power systems apart. The lights inside flickered and colonists panicked as alarms screamed. Within hours, messages reached Earth. People were terrified. Protesters filled streets demanding answers. Was the Union friend or foe? The Union Council declared it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Captain Vorthen claimed he had only intended to test the atmosphere. But the truth was clear to humanity. They were being tested like prey. The attack on Mars shook the hidden Terran fleet as well. On his warship, Admiral Reyes received the reports. He stood in silence for a long time, staring at the hologram of the damaged colony. Children had been inside that dome. Families had lived there. His second-in-command spoke softly. "Do we reveal ourselves now?" Reyes shook his head. His voice was cold but steady. "Not yet. If we strike too soon, they will not understand. The galaxy must see who threw the first stone. Let them believe they have won. Let them think we are powerless. Their arrogance will blind them. And when the time comes, we will show them the truth." On Earth, public opinion began to split. Some people believed humanity should continue peace at all costs, afraid that resistance would bring destruction. Others demanded action, furious at the attack on Mars. In the halls of government, leaders debated fiercely. The Secretary General of the United Nations called for calm, saying, "We must not give the aliens what they want. If we act rashly, they will crush us." But a general answered sharply, "If we do nothing, they will think we are already conquered." Ambassador Terral used the fear to his advantage. In his meetings, he offered protection in exchange for agreements. He asked for trade rights for access to Earth's oceans and minerals. He asked for humans to dismantle some of their weapons for peace. Many leaders hesitated. Signing meant survival, at least in the short term. Refusing meant risking war. But even as they spoke of treaties, some leaders secretly sent more signals to Admiral Reyes. Humanity was not ready to show its teeth, but the day would come soon. Meanwhile, among ordinary people, a strange mix of emotions grew. Some worshipped the aliens, believing they were angels or saviors. Others hated them, painting graffiti on walls. Earth belongs to humanity. Scientists studied the Union's technology carefully. While the aliens boasted openly about their power, humans listened quietly, writing down every detail. What the Union saw as weakness, silence, curiosity, caution, was in fact strategy. The Union grew bolder. Patrols began moving deeper into the solar system. Near Saturn, a small human research ship was stopped and scanned for hours before being released. Near Earth, drones floated in orbit watching every launch. The Union Council reported to Terral, "Humanity is ready to join. They are quiet. They are afraid. Soon they will surrender fully," Terral smiled. "Then the Union shall gain another world. Our influence spreads again." But not everyone in the Union agreed. A young officer named Soral, who had observed humans closely, gave a warning. "Ambassador, you underestimate them. They are too calm. They obey too easily. Their history shows they resist when pushed." Terral dismissed him with a wave. "You are young, Soral. You do not understand. They are primitive. One warship could burn their cities to ash. There is nothing to fear." Soral bowed, but his heart was heavy. He had seen something in the human eyes, something the others ignored. A quiet fire. The Mars incident was only the beginning. Weeks later, Captain Vorthon grew impatient again. He brought the vigilant spear near Earth itself, hovering high above the atmosphere. He demanded that humans show him their military strength. "Let them parade their fleets," he said with a sneer. "Let us show them how small they are." Earth sent a handful of ships, old, slow vessels with missiles and railguns. Against the shining weapons of the Union warship, they looked like toys. In the skies above, the vigilant spear easily disabled several human ships, leaving them drifting helplessly. No lives were lost, but the message was clear. Resistance was hopeless. On the ground, humanity watched in fear and anger. News channels showed images of their crippled ships. Some people cried, some shouted in rage, and some whispered of the hidden fleet, the stories that only a few believed, that humanity was not as defenseless as it seemed. High above, Admiral Reyes watched through silent eyes. He had seen enough. "Patience," he reminded his officers. "Every insult they give us is one more reason the galaxy will stand with us when we strike. We will not reveal our hand yet, but when we do, the Union will learn who we are." And so the calm continued. The aliens thought they had won. They believed humanity was already kneeling, but in the shadows of space a storm was building. The first contact had been calm. The Union thought victory was theirs, but humanity was waiting, watching, and planning. They were misjudged, and soon that mistake would shake the stars. The weeks after the Mars incident brought a strange quiet to the solar system. To ordinary people, life seemed to return to normal. Markets opened, schools continued, and families went about their daily lives. But underneath that normal life, tension grew heavier with every passing day. The Galactic Union increased its presence. More patrol ships entered orbit, their silver hulls shining above the clouds. Drones hovered quietly, scanning human satellites, listening to every signal. Union officials spoke politely in meetings, but their eyes carried the weight of ownership as if Earth was already theirs. Ambassador Terral appeared calm as always. He visited Earth's great halls and spoke of peace. He promised technology, medicine, and faster ships. But in every sentence was a shadow, silent pressure to obey. "Humanity has taken its first steps," Terral said before a crowd of leaders. "Now with our guidance you may rise higher. But guidance requires trust. Trust requires obedience. A child cannot walk safely without holding a parent's hand." Many nodded politely. Others clenched their fists beneath the table. To some, the words felt like chains. On the surface, humans acted as though they accepted the Union's dominance. But far away, beyond the gaze of Union eyes, preparations grew stronger. Near Jupiter, the hidden fleet of the Terran Defense Force remained cloaked. Their ships rested in silence, dark against the void. They were unlike the old vessels paraded before Union eyes. These were not fragile toys. These were warships built in secret, forged from Earth's greatest efforts and sacrifices. The flagship, TSF Horizon's Spear, was a monster of steel and shadow. Its hull was layered with advanced alloys. Its weapons could tear apart asteroids. It was the crown jewel of humanity's hidden strength. Admiral Reyes stood on its bridge, gazing at the holographic projection of the solar system. Blue markers represented Union ships, too many, moving too freely. Red markers represented human colonies, vulnerable, exposed. His officers waited quietly for his word. Finally he spoke. "They believe we are broken. They believe we have no teeth. Let them continue to believe. The more certain they are of their victory, the harder the fall will be when we strike." His second-in-command, Captain Elara Voss, nodded. Our cloaking fields hold. Their sensors cannot detect us. But, Admiral, how long can we wait? The colonies suffer. The people grow afraid. Reyes's eyes hardened. I know, but patience is our weapon. If we reveal ourselves too soon, they will unite the galaxy against us. We need them to strike first to show the galaxy who they truly are. Until then, we are shadows. Back on Earth, not all humans believed in hidden strength. Many feared the Union too deeply. In the streets, protests rose. Some groups demanded surrender, believing resistance was suicide. Better slaves than ash, one man shouted to cameras. Others painted signs with bold letters. Earth stands free. Governments played a careful game. They signed small agreements with the Union to buy time. They allowed limited access to resources. But in hidden rooms, generals whispered to each other about secret fleets, about Admiral Reyes, about the weapons waiting in silence. The Union watched humanity's surface carefully. What they saw was nervousness, hesitation, weakness, and that was exactly what humanity wanted them to see. On the Celestial Harmony, Ambassador Terral listened to reports. His officers spoke of humans obeying quietly, of leaders signing papers. Revek, his cautious assistant, frowned as he read his own report. Ambassador, there are signs of delay. They agree with our demands, but always slowly. They ask for time for discussion. It feels intentional. Terral dismissed the concern. That is fear. They stall because they know resistance is useless. Soon they will surrender completely. Earth will be another jewel of the Union. Revek hesitated. He remembered the human eyes he had seen in meetings. Hard, determined, watching even as they smiled. But he said nothing. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, a small human mining station detected something unusual. Their scanners picked up faint ripples, distortions in light and gravity, as though something large moved but remained unseen. The miners sent their report quietly to Earth, not realizing it was the hidden Terran fleet. The cloaking technology worked perfectly, but it left behind faint anomalies. To ordinary Union patrols, these signs were invisible, but to a few sharp-eyed officers, the mystery was troubling. One of those officers was Soral, the young alien who had doubted Terral's certainty. Reviewing the data, he frowned. Ambassador, there are strange readings near Jupiter. Could the humans be hiding something? Terral laughed softly, shaking his head. You still cling to your fears, Soral. Do you imagine humans hiding fleets the size of ours? Their ships are toys. Their factories cannot produce greatness. Ignore these phantoms, but Soral did not ignore them. He stored the data in his private files, his doubt growing. On Mars, life remained difficult. Colonists rebuilt after the Union attack. Their domes patched and their power restored. But scars remained. Children woke from nightmares of fire in the sky. Families whispered prayers for safety. And yet in their hearts a quiet fire burned. At night, some colonists looked to the stars and whispered, "They think we are weak. They will see." Admiral Reyes knew the colonists suffered, and each message of their pain cut him like a blade. But his orders remained the same: wait. His officers sometimes questioned the delay. Captain Voss asked again, her voice tight with frustration. "Admiral, how many more insults must we endure? How many more tests will they make? Our people bleed while we hide in the shadows." Reyes looked at her with steady eyes. "Every insult is a chain around their neck, not ours. The more they press, the more the galaxy will see them as tyrants. When we strike, we must not only win, we must be right. History must remember that we did not start this war. We finished it." The crew bowed their heads in agreement. Union patrols continued to grow bold. Near Neptune, they intercepted a small human science vessel. They scanned it, mocked its primitive engines, and then released it. The scientists aboard returned shaken, reporting the humiliation. In another part of orbit, Union drones hovered close to Earth's military bases, watching every move. Some humans grew restless, their anger boiling, but the Union only saw compliance. Captain Vorthan of the Vigilant Spear boasted to his crew, "Look at them. They bow without us even asking. Soon they will hand us their planet like a gift." His crew laughed, but one officer frowned. "Captain, they bow. But they do not break. There is a difference." Vorthan ignored him. Behind the calm surface, humanity's scientists worked tirelessly. They studied Union signals, analyzed their weapons, and tested countermeasures. Every scrap of data stolen from scans was turned into knowledge. On hidden stations near the moon, new weapons were prepared. Plasma railguns, missile swarms, and defense drones. Though small compared to Union fleets, they were sharp blades waiting for the right strike. And far beyond, cloaked in silence, the Horizon Spear and its sister ships waited. Ambassador Terral, growing confident, began drafting the final treaty. It would bind Earth to the Union forever. He imagined the humans signing it, heads bowed, their leaders promising obedience. This will be a peaceful conquest, he told his staff with pride. No battles, no waste. They will kneel willingly. But Terral still felt unease. Ambassador, forgive me, but I do not trust their silence. Humans do not kneel easily. Terral smiled thinly. Then watch, Terral, you will see. They have no choice, the stage was set. The Union believed the war was already over. Humanity seemed weak, compliant, broken. But in the dark, unseen by alien eyes, the storm gathered. Ships waited near Jupiter, cloaked in shadows. Weapons hummed in silence. Soldiers trained, ready for the day of fire. The first contact had been calm. The Union thought victory was certain, but humanity's hidden strength had not yet been revealed. And when it was, the galaxy would tremble. The solar system had grown heavy with tension. For weeks, humans had endured humiliation under the Galactic Union's presence. Union ships hovered over Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies like silent predators, their silver hulls glowing with borrowed sunlight. To the eyes of the galaxy, it looked as though humanity had already bent its knee. But in the shadows, unseen by alien eyes, patience held. Humanity waited. Humanity prepared. The breaking point came on a cold morning in the Martian colonies. Captain Vorthon of the Union warship Vigilant Spear had grown restless. He despised long diplomacy and slow councils. To him, conquest was simple. Fear was the fastest tool. From orbit above Mars, he looked down at the fragile domes of human settlers. Small, scattered cities clung to the red desert like glass bubbles. Children ran through tunnels. Families worked in mining stations. Vorthon sneered. They call this a colony? This is weakness made visible. His officers bowed their heads. They knew what their captain was about to order. Target Dome 6, Vorthon commanded. Do not destroy it completely. Just enough to remind them who rules the stars. A beam of energy lanced downward. The ground shook. Alarm screamed inside the dome as one of its outer walls cracked and collapsed. Air hissed out into the thin Martian atmosphere. People ran, terrified, as emergency barriers sealed the breach. No one died that day, but the message was clear. Humanity was nothing. News of the attack spread to Earth within hours. Protests erupted. Crowds filled streets holding signs of anger and fear. Some shouted for resistance. Others shouted for surrender, afraid of more destruction. Inside the United Nations chamber, leaders argued fiercely. They cannot continue this. One general roared. They test us like animals. But if we fight now, another leader warned, they will unleash their fleets. Earth cannot survive that. We must wait. In the corner of the chamber, the Secretary General spoke softly but firmly. We will wait, but not forever. The time will come. And when it does, we must be ready. Ambassador Terral received the reports calmly. When Revik, his assistant, voiced concern, Terral only smiled. The humans grow angry, yes, Terral said. But anger without power is noise. Soon they will accept reality. Their survival depends on us. They will kneel. But Revik frowned. Ambassador, what if they are not as weak as we believe? Terral's four crystal eyes gleamed coldly. Then we shall teach them what weakness truly means. Far away, near Jupiter, Admiral Reyes received the same reports. He stood on the bridge of the Horizon Spear, his face grim as the images of the damaged Martian dome flickered before him. His second-in-command, Captain Alara Voss, clenched her fists. Admiral, they cross every line. They humiliate us. They threaten our children. How much longer do we wait? Reyes's eyes narrowed. Not long. Their arrogance blinds them. Every act they commit digs their own grave. Soon, they will give us the reason we need. The Terran fleet, cloaked in silence, continued to wait. The reason came sooner than expected. Captain Vorthon, still hungry for dominance, decided to push further. He ordered his ship closer to Mars, ignoring all human protests. His fleet of patrol drones circled the colonies like hawks. This world is ours, he told his crew proudly. The humans may live here, but only at our mercy. They are children playing at spaceflight. But then he made a mistake. He ordered his ship to disable the Martian defense grid completely. The grid was small, primitive by Union standards, but it was still the shield that protected human families from asteroid strikes and solar radiation. When the Vigilant Spear fired, the defense grid collapsed. For the first time, colonists felt fully exposed. Fear turned into fury. Messages poured to Earth demanding protection, demanding action. And at last, Earth gave the order. A coded signal traveled through secure channels, bouncing from satellite to satellite, until it reached the hidden fleet near Jupiter. The signal was short, but it was enough. One word. Awaken. On the horizon sphere, alarms sounded softly, not in panic but in readiness. Engines that had been silent for weeks came to life, their hum deep and steady. Weapons powered up. Cloaking fields adjusted. One by one, the hidden Terran warships came alive. Admiral Reyes stood tall, his voice carrying across the bridge. The time of patience is over. The time of shadows is finished. Humanity will no longer kneel. Today we remind the galaxy who we are. The fleet moved. Near Mars, Captain Vorthan watched his screens with satisfaction. The Martian colonies lay helpless before him. He laughed as frightened voices crackled through human channels begging for mercy. Then suddenly his sensors went wild. "Captain," an officer shouted. "A massive energy spike detected behind us." Vorthan turned sharply. "What?" "There are no human ships that far out." But then space itself seemed to tear open. From the blackness beyond Mars, a shadow grew. At first it looked like a ripple in the stars, a distortion of light. Then the distortion sharpened, lines of steel and fire emerging. A massive warship decloaked, its dark hull reflecting the faint red light of Mars. Its angular design was unlike anything in the Union database. It radiated strength, power, and defiance. The humans had revealed their teeth. The Terran flagship, Horizon's Spear, stood revealed. The Union crews stared in shock. One ship? Vorthan sneered after his first moment of surprise. One warship against us? Foolishness. But then his screens filled with more alarms. Behind the Horizon's Spear, more shadows rippled. One after another, massive Terran warships decloaked. 10, 20, 50. An entire fleet appeared in silence, their hulls black as night, their weapons glowing faintly with power. The Martian colonists looked up through their domes and saw them. For the first time, hope filled their eyes. On the bridge of the Horizon's Spear, Admiral Reyes opened a channel. His voice, calm but sharp as a blade, echoed through every Union frequency. "You mistook our patience for weakness. You mistook our silence for surrender. That was your mistake, and now you will see humanity as it truly is." Panic rippled through the Union fleet. Some captains shouted for retreat. Others demanded explanations. But pride held them in place. Captain Vorthan snarled, "Fire on the human ship. Show them their defiance means nothing." The Vigilant Spear launched its first volley. Beams of energy streaked across space toward the Horizon's Spear. The Terran flagship answered. Its main cannon roared, a blinding spear of plasma that cut through the darkness. The Union beams scattered against the Terran shields, while the Horizon's Spear's shot tore into the Vigilant Spear's flank. Sparks and fire erupted as the Union ship shuddered under the blow. Gasps filled Union command rooms. This was no primitive weapon. This was no child's toy. This was power. On Earth, the world watched as hidden transmissions were leaked. Images of Terran warships filling space spread across every screen. Crowds that had once been filled with fear now erupted in cheers. Humanity was not defenseless. Humanity had not been broken. They had been waiting. Children pointed at the screens with wide eyes. Families hugged each other. Soldiers saluted with pride. For the first time since first contact, the human spirit burned brighter than fear. The battle near Mars raged on. Union ships swarmed, firing desperately, but the Terran fleet moved with precision. Their tactics were sharp, their weapons brutal. For every strike the Union made, the Terrans answered with force twice as strong. Admiral Reyes commanded calmly, his voice steady as if this had all been rehearsed 1,000 times. Squadron 2, flank left. Squadron 3, protect the colonies. No ship fires unless I give the order. We are not here to destroy, we are here to teach. And teach they did. Union ships, once so proud, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. Their shields cracked under human fire. Their drones were shredded by missile swarms. The sky over Mars burned with streaks of light as humanity showed its hidden strength. On the Celestial Harmony, Ambassador Terral stared in horror at the battle feeds. His calm mask cracked for the first time. This is impossible, he whispered. They cannot. They should not. Revik turned to him, eyes wide. Ambassador, they tricked us. They were never weak. They were waiting. Terral's crystal eyes dimmed. For the first time, fear touched him. The galaxy had misjudged humanity. The calm of first contact was broken, and now the storm had begun. The sky above Mars was fire. Union ships, once untouchable, now staggered under the precision of Terran strikes. Each blast from the hidden fleet carried not just power, but a message. Humanity was no one's servant. Inside the Martian domes, colonists gathered at windows, watching light streak across the thin red sky. For weeks they had felt powerless. Now they whispered the same words again and again with growing pride. They are fighting for us. They are fighting for humanity. On the bridge of the Horizon's spear, Admiral Reyes watched with sharp eyes. Around him, officers moved quickly, their voices steady, their hands controlled. Every order was clear, every maneuver precise. Captain Ilara Voss stood beside him, her jaw tight but her voice calm. The Union fleet is in disarray. They cannot form a proper line. Several of their ships are already retreating. Reyes's lips curved into the faintest smile. Good, but remember, our purpose is not destruction. It is revelation. The galaxy must see the truth. In orbit above, Captain Vorthan raged aboard his battered ship, the Vigilant Spear. Sparks flew across his bridge, smoke rising from broken panels. His officers looked shaken, but none dared speak against him. How dare they? Vorthan roared. How dare these primitives challenge us? We are the Union. We are eternal. An officer whispered nervously, Captain, their weapons pierce our shields. Their fleet is larger than we believed. Perhaps we should fall back? Vorthan struck the console with his clawed hand. No retreat. We will crush them, or die proving our strength. But even as he shouted, deep down he felt the weight of fear. Humanity had broken the illusion of Union superiority, and the wound cut deep. Far above the battle, the Celestial Harmony, flag vessel of Ambassador Terral, watched the conflict unfold. Terral's once proud posture bent under the sight of Union ships burning. His aide Revik stood silently, unsure of whether to speak. This cannot be, Terral muttered. One species newly risen to the stars cannot resist us. The balance of the Union will shatter if they succeed. Revik's voice was quiet but steady. Perhaps, Ambassador, the balance was already broken. Perhaps we never saw them clearly. Terral's eyes darkened. For the first time in centuries, he did not know how to answer. The Terran fleet advanced with purpose. They did not waste fire. They did not strike at civilian targets. They moved like guardians rather than conquerors. Protect the colonies, Reyes ordered. Push them back, but leave them a path to retreat. Let the galaxy see that we do not destroy. We defend. The Horizon Spear fired again, a controlled burst that crippled the Vigilant Spear's engines without ending the ship. Terran fighters swarmed across the battlefield, intercepting Union drones with ruthless precision. Every move carried meaning. Every victory shouted a truth that could not be hidden. Humanity was strong. Humanity was clever. Humanity had been underestimated. On Earth, the broadcasts continued. Entire cities gathered in public squares, eyes fixed on massive screens. They saw Union ships falter before human fire. They saw the Terran fleet move with pride and discipline. In a small coastal town, an old veteran whispered to his granddaughter, I told you, child. Never count us out, not us, not humanity. In a crowded megacity, strangers embraced in the streets, shouting in joy. Fear had been replaced by pride. Hope surged across the planet like wildfire, but the battle was not yet finished. The Union fleet regrouped near Phobos, the small Martian moon. There, several captains formed a desperate line. They poured fire into the void, hoping to slow the Terran advance. Admiral Reyes studied the enemy formation carefully. They still resist. Good. We will show them the strength of discipline. Orders? Ilara asked. Strike their center, Reyes said. But disable, not destroy. Let them live to carry word back to their council. Fear spreads fast, but truth spreads faster. The order went out. Terran destroyers flanked the Union line, weaving through enemy fire with skill. Their plasma cannons burst in measured rhythm, breaking shields, crippling engines, forcing Union ships to drift helplessly. Captain Vorthan refused to accept defeat. He pushed his crippled ship forward, ignoring the alarms and fires around him. "They will not laugh at us," he shouted. "We will ram them if we must." But before the vigilant spear could lunge, the Horizon spear intercepted. Its cannons fired once more, precise and merciless, slicing away the Union ship's remaining power. Vorthan's vessel went dark, spinning slowly in silence. For the first time in his life, Vorthan felt what humans had felt since first contact: helplessness. The Union fleet broke. One by one, ships began to flee, their captains abandoning pride in the face of overwhelming power. The battle near Mars ended not with human destruction, but with Union retreat. Admiral Reyes gave no order to pursue. Instead, his voice echoed calm and steady across the fleet. "Hold position. Let them run. Their fear will serve us better than their ashes." Silence fell over Mars. The colonists looked to the skies and saw only Terran ships above them now, ships that had protected them, not abandoned them. Inside Dome 6, where damage from the Union's first strike still scarred the walls, children pressed their hands against the glass and pointed. "Look," one whispered. They came back, and the adults, though weary and shaken, nodded with pride. Yes, they never left us. They only waited. On the Celestial Harmony, Ambassador Terral sent a final signal to Union Command. His words, once dripping with arrogance, were now heavy with dread. "We misjudged humanity. They are not what we thought. Prepare the Council, prepare for change." He ended the transmission, his hands trembling. For the first time, he feared not just for the Union's control, but for its very survival. Back on the Horizon spear, Admiral Reyes stood before his crew. His voice, though calm, carried the weight of history. "Today," he said, "the galaxy has seen our answer. They thought us weak. They thought us broken. They thought our silence was surrender. But now they know." He turned slowly, looking at every officer. "We are humanity. We endure, we wait, and when the time comes, we rise." The crew erupted in cheers, their voices echoing through the flagship. News spread faster than light. Across distant systems, alien species whispered the name Terrans with new weight. Some spoke in fear, others in respect, but none in dismissal. The humans were no longer invisible. In hidden corners of the galaxy, oppressed worlds took heart. If the humans could stand against the Union, perhaps they too could rise. Change was coming, and it began with Earth. Days later, on Earth, a global assembly gathered. Leaders from every nation stood together, united as never before. Behind them, screens showed images of the Terran fleet above Mars, gleaming in silent vigilance. The Secretary General spoke to the world. "Today, we have shown that humanity will not kneel. We are not conquerors, but we are not victims. We are guardians of our own future. And to the galaxy, our message is clear. Approach us with respect or face the strength we keep in silence." Admiral Reyes, though celebrated, remained humble. On the Horizon spear, he looked out at the stars. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly to Ilara. She nodded, her eyes on the endless void. "The Union will not forget this. They will return." Reyes's voice was steady. "And when they do, we will be ready. Because now the galaxy knows. We are not prey. We are Terrans. From Earth to Mars to the farthest colonies, humanity stood taller. Fear had broken and pride had taken its place. The galaxy had seen the calm of first contact. They had thought victory was theirs. But then the Terran warship had decloaked and everything changed.